Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the very rare Regicide Part 3. We didn't ever do Part 3 for Regicide, do we? No, no, no. So, um, you guys are able to, like I said, before you finally pass out and get some sleep, get a good distance away from the army. Just because this first night is a bit precarious, I imagine, Ophios, get a do you want to take a moment of watch, or are you like, no, I don't want to watch. I need sleep.
Given that he fell off the horse, he would leave it to the discretion of his comrades.
I could take first watch.
Do you want Ophios to take any watch whatsoever, or no?
He's not going to say no if he needs to, but at the same time,
He's not offering.
He fell off his horse.
Yeah, he's not offering. It's kind of one of those. So, guys, how are we doing? Watch. He says nothing, and he's usually so
Rena,
vocal.
you go first, and then I'll take the second shift, and then we'll figure it out from there.
I also would mention that given the circumstances, Ophios would leave his gear with Yondis or Rena and would sleep in snake form.
Okay, that's fine. You're probably more comfortable that way, anyways. The only reason why I say that that's a bad idea, Yondis, is because that means either somebody's taking two watches, or if you plan it in advance, you just both have one watch but slightly longer. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but we might not need to use a full watch.
Okay.
I'm saying there's probably a period where we can all sleep if everything's been fine.
Okay, sure. So, so why don't we have the first person just roll me a perception check really quickly, normal, and then the second person immediately after that. Let's see if anything happens, and we'll move on. I'm actually gonna roll a random dice roll. Excuse me. I mean GM roll. I keep burping like Mike. So rude.
Daelric, do you want me to roll now, or do you want me
I rolled as Yondis. That's funny. Yes, we'll go ahead and roll.
All right.
So actually, nothing ends up happening. I did random dice checks. Nothing ends up happening for either of the watches. You guys are good. And so the next day, you messy get up. You're still a bit groggy because you were tired, like really tired when you went to bed. But your level of exhaustion is gone. Tyler, you're down to only one level of exhaustion.
Hold on. Okay, it's good.
Okay. And you're down to only one level of exhaustion, and you guys can keep moving on the next day. So pressing on, I imagine you guys aren't necessarily like looking for. I should ask this actually. Do you proceed from here to Momley a bit more cautiously? Like, what if there's another camp around another corner? Or are you like, no, that was probably a bit of a fluke. It's a border patrol sort of a thing. Why don't we just push on like we have been the whole time? Normal speed.
I think we should be kind of cautious.
Given Rena's knowledge, more likely of paramilitary, he would let her say something.
And then tell her, no, you listen to me, woman. No.
No, he would listen to her advice.
Okay, of course. She, like you said, is the most experienced out of all of you. So, cool. So it would be only like a half-day travel to get to the center here. And honestly, you could have this first day be a bit of a lighter travel day, just to have things reset to normal. Have him, sleep overnight, get rid of all your issues. So just for this one last time, I'm going to have you making a survival check, Rena, with advantage because of XYZ. And this will allow Ophios to really catch up his rest. Like, wow, that last push really got to me. 19 total, so you're good. You guys find a good camp. You're able to avoid everything. Blah, 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 blah. You do notice tracks, once again, over in the tail end of this mountain of mountain men. So definitely mountain men have come as far down as this hill that you can actually see your little mini sitting on down here. You can see that they do come as far down as that area. Whether or not that matters, but you do find that.
I would mark up a stone again.
Sure.
Except this time saying go to Momley.
And from here we can start measuring normal. So each day moving forward, are we going straight for Momley, like a straight path, or do you want to like try to stick a bit to the hills before you head up there? What's the plan?
Straight
Let me
path.
see what our original path was, because I believe it was nope.
Straight there.
It was this to this to this. So, we would go to where that first one is,
Yep.
and I would think then up,
Sure.
kind of sticking more tried and true to our original path.
I mean, it's still 5 hexes. That's fine.
Sure. So again, you guys travel through these areas at a decent pace. I think it's 2 days. I don't want to waste too much time chatting about this, but 5 hours per day. So that's if you pushed yourself one more day, you could realistically get to here in 1 day, but I don't think you care to. So you get to here in like 2 more days travel, and then finally that's your last approach, which you can get to. In your last 1 day of travel, you can get literally from this hex to Momley. So we're going to flash forward a day to here, and then before you get to Momley, we'll take over. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if we had any insight into what Momley would be like before we embarked on this journey.
So we did talk about this beforehand, but obviously it's probably good to refresh both you and the viewers on what Momley's like. So Momley was kind of like the gem of the north in this area. Momley did at one point in time have like a lot of wealth on it. You can imagine the amount of commerce, the amount of trade that would come through this whole river system over here. Try to back up the map a little bit more so you can see any more details. The amount of trade that would come along this river system here and all the cities that are nearby. Imagine the amount of ore that came down from these mountains to go down to everywhere. This is a primary river that goes down below to the rest of Peredhel itself, right? Mm-hmm. Do I have a map of Peredhel in here? I feel like I did.
You had linked it. I didn't know if you had it in Roll20.
Oh, if I don't, that's pretty terrible, and I should add it to quick references like I used to. So I'll just, if I can remember to do that after the session's over, I'll put it in here so we can look at it. Anyways, so you can imagine the amount of commerce that would go through here, the amount of traveling. Well, anyways, at one point in time in the past, again, Peredhel is one nation that is controlled by 3 different, we'll call them kings, but Turumbar is their technical title. Each Turumbar controls, even though it's one nation, it breaks up into 9 different provinces. Each province is controlled by its own prince. So each Turumbar has 3 provinces. One of the princes of a province, he was called like the River King is his nickname. He happens to have somehow worked it into Peredhel law that not only does he control this one particular province where he's like the leader of, it'd be easier to explain with the map, but one particular province where he's the leader of, but somehow he worked into the law that all rivers fall under his domain. So all commerce or trade that happens along the rivers fall under his domain, making it so his province is so booming with wealth right now. So you can imagine the kind of stuff that's happening in his province, way down to the south along the ocean in the southern part of Peredhel. But that means that places like Momley, which was booming with wealth before, had almost all of its income taken from it because all the taxes it would have had, a lot of the businesses that were like based out of there, they all lost their support. They all lost everything. So it's kind of like their infrastructure has collapsed pretty handedly over a short period of time. So Momley is actually struggling. It's actually become to the point where even though Peredhel's pretty well watched after, Vala, as a nation, as a province, is not the best guarded area. I mean, this is where lots of hills are, mountains are, barren lands are. I mean, this is a region that still has like beasts that roam the lands. Plus, there's the mountain men, which sometimes cause issues. Usually not, but they can, depending on the tribe and whatnot. So along the rivers, there's like bandits and whatnot that actually have popped up to a small degree. And since Momley doesn't have a lot of the infrastructure to handle it militarily, they've even gone to the point where they've kind of like offered for adventurers to come and handle it a bit, which is like they don't really have the money to afford that either. So needless to say, they're just struggling hardcore. So when you get to Momley, you can imagine that the place is just not going to be doing well, and a lot of people are going to be a bit dour. It's a great place for somebody who's anti-Peredhel to lay some seeds and start their grassroots rebel organization, right? Which is the reason why you're coming here. Yay! So.
Okay. I just wanted that information on approach, seen as whatever we would know based on the town, whether we would want to camp outside before we entered or just enter.
Oh, you're fine. And so feel free, of course, because you guys are a day travel away. So you can imagine you guys are like camped the night beforehand or the morning of your last day's travel. So today, since it's only like a 6-hour travel away, it's literally going to be before sunfall. It's going to be this evening, like sun's still low but in the sky, that you guys are going to be approaching Momley, unless you choose to do otherwise. So why don't you have, like, I suppose this morning before you head out, that conversation about what your plan is. Please feel free to whatever degree you need to chat.
Ophios would simply, wherever the group was, bring up, like, probably morning, we're cooking breakfast at the fire or whatnot, would approach and just say, given the experience entering the last towns upon returns, perhaps we should figures out how we want to enter this towns, what times seems best, and hows we want to appears. Mostly kind of not like giving anybody any looks or anything like that, but mostly kind of just like asking. There's no like shade thrown with that if some people think that was picked up. If anything, he's thrown shade at himself for having that look on his face the last time they entered a town.
Turn to Yondis and just say, what do you think?
It's a shitty town like any other. I think we're far enough away that we should be able to just approach as if we were travelers. I don't think we need to take too careful here. I think we'll be all right.
But best to keep a watch as bandits be about.
It's possible anywhere, yeah.
Couldn't be worse than the army.
Is there maybe a place we can stay in town that has their own watch?
That's not information that Ophios would know.
Yeah, he wasn't really asking the group.
Would
He was just
I wouldn't
suggesting
know.
the idea.
The map tell us of hotels.
No,
I mean, I'm sure there's an inn
there's definitely, because it's technically a small
or
city.
something.
It's technically a small
Yeah, but
city.
it's on a travel road.
Without giving you guys too many details, without like, because you guys don't really know, none of you have ever been there before, right? Without giving you too many details, I can say it's a small city, so its population is going to be around 6,000. So it's like a decent, like, and remember, this
They'll
isn't
have it
6,000 spread out; it's 6,000 condensed. So it's actually, they definitely will have inns and whatnot. It's considered a small city, you know.
The first thing Ophios is actually going to look for is when we approach town. This is for the future. He's going to use his safe haven to see if the Slacona Slayers have any sort of foothold in this city.
So you're gonna be looking. My apologies for. So this is when you get there. You're gonna be making checks or whatnot to
Yeah.
discover this kind of stuff. But that's more. Unless you're explaining that to the party, like, this is our plan when we get there.
No, he wouldn't explain that to them.
Okay.
But he would just merely say, so probably safe to just approach like we're coming in for the night. Like
Yeah, I think so.
On his general journey.
Honestly, camping outside of town will raise more suspicion than going into it.
Yeah, I agree. I would remove the armor that I have that was from the guard.
I mean, it's obviously a Peredhel military make. I can't remember. You hammered out, I think, the.
I thought I did.
It was
Yeah.
during that
Yeah.
break
Did I?
that we had.
So
where
then
he
I'm
transported
okay.
that was
Yeah.
cleaned
So
off.
it's not really recognizable.
Correct.
Okay. Then that's
Well,
fine. Never
maybe
mind.
someone in the military would recognize it as military garb.
They would be able to recognize it as quality military.
But somebody wouldn't like see me.
But you wouldn't
think
see the
I'm-
commander. Yeah.
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 That's what I
So,
thought.
did you guys ever see the military structure for the Peredhel that I had made at one point in time for the community game we were running? And
built a
maybe
fort?
we'll run again. What?
Yeah, what happened in that game?
What?
What happened
What
in
do
that
you
game?
say?
I don't know what you're talking about, Messi.
What'd you say about what?
It was the military structure. It's actually over in if you go into Discord and you look up at the very top under announcements as kingdom characters. We're starting like one post up. If you look above my stupid Kappa post, it shows like the ranks of soldiers from Inclame, which is like enlistment more or less, down to officers. So it's like the different types of commanders. More or less what you were wearing, Greener, would have been like a lieutenant commander armor is what
Okay.
people kind of are. So if you imagine that as like, consider this what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 ranks, I think, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 ranks. You were wearing like an O6's armor. That's like, that's a captain in the Navy. It's somebody who like commands like a battleship. You know what I mean? Like that's not
So what's the official person? Which one would it have been on the officers list?
Lieutenant Commander, LT Commander. Yeah,
Oh wow.
it's kind of like the armor that she would have been wearing. You know what I mean? So it's like some high level shit she was wearing right there. So again, like somebody who's very well versed in the structure, and so they'd be like, "That's some quality military armor." And somebody's like, "Really?" Might even be like, "That looks like commander armor," but you scratched it off, so you like removed it in a way that looks good. So it wouldn't trigger everybody's, and that person might even still second guess themselves. So it's up to you as to if you want to wear it or not. High commander is a general, yeah.
I maybe would like. Yeah, I think I'd still remove it just in case. Try not to cause problems for us. So that way I appear maybe at least like not as seasoned of an adventurer, so I'm not like raising suspicions.
To answer Naga's question in chat, technically, if somebody has the rank of commander, they're all generals. It's just what degree of general they are. If you're looking at like U.S. military structure, right, or many nations, since we're
U.S.
mirrors a lot of people.
military, it would just be the star ranking.
Yeah, well, yeah. So exactly. So general, whether it be, so on and so forth. So but again, it's a very high up there. So you say, I'm sorry, Rita, was that a yay or a nay?
Taking it off.
Take it off. Cool. But you still have leather. I can't remember. Do you have leather armor or something else that you wore when you take it off?
Yeah. I had.
No, she goes naked.
Oh, shut up.
Yes, completely stripped. Walks in.
Except the nip. She's got nipple stickers.
Of course, you have to keep them protected.
They're tassels.
So
With snake heads on them.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say before we move on is that officers can really only be positions that are held by first-class citizens of the Peredhel, which are almost exclusively Perrin. There are non-Perrin that can technically, but we're talking it's rare. So it's almost exclusively Perrin. Correct. You're somebody that if you would join the military, you would automatically walk in as an officer. Correct.
Oh, hey, that sounds pretty good as a backup strat. If this whole Loper thing doesn't work out.
Yeah, I decided I'm done, being a terrorist and
I don't know, guys.
rebel.
I think I'm
So-
switching sides.
Yeah.
This is a
Treason.
little unfair.
It was like a treason
Gotta balance
hiatus.
the teams.
That's all, So continuing on, you guys make your way towards Momley. Now you're going for just like a typical approach, so it's going to be like an evening approach. It's like the sun's low, blah 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 blah. So as that last day passes, I mean this is days that you've been traveling for, right? As that last day passes, you finally get to Momley. As you finally get to Momley, you can finally like relax, maybe find a bed, so on and so forth. But the approach that you have when you get there, you can see for the first time the walls that are around the city. Now, there's even on the because you're approaching, my apologies, from the southern side. There's walls over there, but like not. Let me rephrase this. My apologies. Because you're approaching from the southern side, even on the southern side of the river, there are walls that are over there with a gate that you have to walk through to get even to the river's edge itself on this side. But you can see that on this side of the river isn't where most of the city is. Actually, most of the city is on the other side of the river. This side just seems to be predominantly like warehouses, like a warehouse district that you're walking into. That then would lead up to like docks on this side of the river, and then actually a decent sized bridge. There's more than one bridge, but the big one, of course, you would use to get to the other side. One of the first things that you notice when you walk up to the gates itself, the walls over here are decent size. They're good 10-foot walls made out of stone. They're definitely structured to defend this place well. But there's no guards at the wall. Like, that's one of the first things I kind of like, You literally walk up to the wall, there's no guards that are there.
Ophios summons a heavy crossbow and just has it with him.
Okay.
On his back.
Yep. And then as soon as you go into the place, like I said, you're inside like a warehouse district. You're walking around, And you do see a decent number of people in here. Not a ton of them are working, which you might imagine that not too long in the past, just because you're getting the impression, what I described beforehand, most of the people in the warehouse district would have been like hard at work, tail end of the shift. The sun's not quite down yet. Let's finish up our job before we get to go home for the night. Yay. No, walking around, you see people working, but it's maybe like 20% of the people around you are working. Others are just kind of like off to the side, standing around having conversations. You can literally see in alleys as you walk past them that there's like groupings of people. Some of them like playing dice or something like that over there. Others were maybe that's none too pleasant.
Dice, my games. Ophios Scurry's over there.
Snake eyes.
It's dice poker actually. We're playing Witcher 1. So you're the music matches. So you're as you walk away, maybe a none too pleasant conversation happening into another area. But these are all things that aren't really a concern. You just very much get the impression that this dock area doesn't get used. As a matter of fact, you walk by one of the buildings, that's like right by the river. Like a building that you'd imagine would have a lot of value and use because it's right by the river. Great, but it's like dilapidated. You think maybe there's a fire at one point in time. There's definitely a significant amount of injury. You're pretty sure it's been broken into at least once, and nobody's done any of the repairs to it. And now it's just left open and dilapidated. The river itself...
Vegetation, it burns down.
The river itself, like over the docking area, well, there's a good number of ships that are either docked there or even some that are just like sailing by as you go. Because of the structure of like how many boats come through here and whatnot, there are technically 3 bridges that cross from this side to the other. 2 of the bridges are designed in a way that the bridge can actually be opened or closed depending on the amount of foot traffic that needs to go. The way that these bridges function, one of them has been structured because everything's a little bit different. One of them has been structured so it's literally it has like a tower that goes up it, and people would work a crank to crank the bridge up so larger boats with their masts would be able to get out of the way, and then you drop it down for foot traffic if there's not much more than say like a small like a river boat or whatever going by as opposed to like a larger barge. That one is set up, and just kind of like looking at it even with the darkness, you imagine it has not come down in a long time. It's just like, okay, well, that wood does not look very like it. There are pieces like hanging off of it. That does not look like a bridge that should be lowered. Looking at the other bridge that would move out of the way, this one's actually designed that again a crank moves, and actually the bridge instead kind of like turns outwards. So whoever had designed this piece literally put it so it's on like a cogs, so the length of the bridge, so like a small end above the where it's anchored, and then a long end, T like swings out to allow boats to go by and would swing back. That one seems like it actually still gets used. You know what I mean? You can see people walking across it. So clearly it must open for ships to go by. But then the bridge that never moves, that always allows for foot traffic, is like a super steep one. It's like a bridge that like your legs start burning, not even a quarter way up one side to get to the peak and then to go down a obnoxiously steep slope on the other side. When I say slope, it's because it's like stairs, more like a smooth cobblestone area and stairs. You imagine that's probably for like horse-drawn carriages or whatever it might be, but stairs are people that are walking on either side. It's only so wide in the middle that carriages will be able to go across it one way at a time, which could get interesting at points in time, which is why there's 3 bridges. Do you guys stay on this side of the bridge or for this first day walking in, or you're like, no, most of the stuff's over there, I want to go there?
I mean, it doesn't take a whole day to cross a bridge.
Let's cross the bridge.
No, I just didn't know if you guys want to explore any further or hang back on this side. Cool.
Ophios would want to check for, because he, based on his instincts, this would be the side where he would find the safe havens, or where the slayers would be hiding.
On which side? My apologies.
With the warehouses and stuff.
So, would you want to? So, I imagine you're not splitting the party at this point, right? So.
No. Ophios would speak up and just say, "Perhaps I might have reasons to look about here.
Maybe we should find a place to stay first, so we have a place to meet up."
This might be a better place to stay, if my kinds are here.
For all of us?
If I have trusts, they will trusts.
Is it worth the 50 gold or less that it would take to buy a room for us?
Trusts can't be bought.
Yeah, I get that, but having our own base versus staying with snake people, it just seems like, like it's like a bed.
He kind of
would be
cocks
nice.
his head at Yondis, like,
Do you guys even have beds? Do you guys sleep in beds?
He's
Slay-
asking about amenities.
A bath? Do you guys even bathe? So you guys kind of like an outdoor type of rare people.
Slayers, while being primarily hears, does occasionally have allies. At least, that's what I've been told.
Right. But it's just we've been on the road for months, and I haven't slept in a bed in months.
I'm like straight up covered in blood. Like my clothes.
And there's
are
an
like...
inn. There might be an inn over there.
Which is also part of the reason why Ophios would want to do this, is because no questions would be asked.
Well, I don't.
Let's just check it out,
Just
Yondis.
gives me time.
Okay.
See if
All right.
it's theirs.
If you can pull
not-
something magic, that'd be. We'll go ahead. Well, all right. We'll follow your lead, Ophios. But I'm getting cranky.
I'm
So I'm
not
gonna
jumping in that lake again.
Ophios
Lake, river, whatever.
Ophios would kind of actually look at Yondis and kind of, you just see a little smile appear on her face.
So you got muscles in there.
What do I need to roll, Scott, for this?
Well, can you bloop it into chat for me? I'm pretty sure it's just an innate ability of yours. Safe haven as a faction, yeah. So what it is when you first come through here, you get this impression. You look at the bridges. You're looking at them, probably remarking between the three of you, like the different aspects that I've described and whatnot. Like, oh, that one looks like it hasn't come. That one looks like it hasn't come down. Oh, that one still works. Okay, cool. This is one we could always go across, whatever. And then when you think about going across, you have this little conversation that's there because you have this like itching in the back of your mind. And you decide, instead of crossing the bridge, maybe we should spend some time looking around in this area. You spend probably about turning back and doing so, then following your lead. You spend probably about an hour's time walking around and just kind of getting an impression of the place. When around when like you're not getting tired, so like, oh, I'm about to be fed up, but just you're making your way about. Eventually, you actually find a carving along the side of one of the buildings. It literally just looks like some angry girlfriend grabbed a key and dragged it on like the side of or boyfriend along the side of like a car, but like a dagger to the side of one of the warehouses. And it's like this wavy, crystal-like format that makes you think, that's a sigil. One of the warehouses is nearby. So that's not telling you it's this building, it's telling you nearby. And so you actually walk around and you see a couple more of these carvings. And then you realize, it's, of course, as is normal, it's not the ones that are carved, it's the one that isn't. So once you go around, you check, okay, it's here, it's here. It's the one in the middle of them. Once you find three, you know which one it is. It's the warehouse that's in the middle. Looking at the quality of the warehouse that's kind of catching your attention, Tyler, you see that the warehouse itself is not the biggest warehouse by any stretch. It's about a medium-sized one compared to all the others. It's a bit removed from the river, somewhat middle-centered over in this warehouse district itself. But it's actually kept itself up decently well. Sure, there's a broken window over here, and that door is kind of hanging a little funny. But the place is held up pretty well. And you also get the impression that there's still goods that must be transported through here. You get a pretty strong inkling that this is one of your places.
Ophios would say, yes. Hangs back for a second. Let me speaks. And
Yeah, you don't want to get caught with some Perrin. Yeah, go ahead.
So Ophios would leave them with it, not super far away, but would approach. And based on his understanding of his faction, he actually has to find a particular part of the side for a hidden door, essentially. It wouldn't be a normal entrance sort of thing. It would be something that's hidden, given that that's how they always are. They're in caves underground. They're in places like that. They're not going to be in a normal doorway.
True, but with a place as tightly packed as this, actually, before I say, do me a favor. Roll me a wisdom or intelligence, whichever one's better for you.
Just slightly.
Okay, so you know that that's true, like you were saying. However, with a tightly packed place like a city, having just a secret door that somebody might watch you slipping in and out of, like randomly on a street at any time of day, would not be a very good spot. It would actually probably be, you probably have to enter the building and then find the secret door on the inside.
Oh, okay.
Because far less observing eyes, right? So you'd probably go to the front door of the building, and rather than knock, 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 find out who's in there, do you just walk in?
Yeah.
Oh, it's open, so it's still time of business. So you open it up, and as soon as you go in there, and obviously you're not like super secret stealthy, but you like walk in like you own the place, right? But just not being too obvious. You immediately hear off in the distance, like deeper inside the warehouse, that there's definitely movement and people. You hear chatter, whatever it is inside there. So there's people in the warehouse working. But the first room that you walk into is a bit of a room, but you can actually see that off to the side there's a desk where you imagine that this is where people probably like have their ledgers of what's coming and going out of the warehouse. There's actually stairs that go up to the upstairs that allow people to go to the area that's going to be able to look down on the warehouse. You imagine the offices are and whatever else they might have up there. And there's also like a big, you remember the barn style sliding doors that can like swing open and close in front of you. One of them is like a third the way open. The other one's like barely open. So it's about a normal doors width wide or whatever that you can see through that people are in there doing whatever work they're doing, right? They hear. Inside here, you kind of get like walking around. Nobody's immediately in this area. That's nice. Whoever's working at the desk just isn't here at the moment. Walking around kind of like looking for something that kind of catches your eye. I don't need to make you to make a roll. It's literally safe haven's your ability. It takes you several minutes as you like walk around this area and nobody really notices you because they're elsewhere. But when you go over to the stairwell itself, behind the like over where the desk is, stairwell itself that goes up, you swing around, you look under the stairs, and as you go to look underneath them, you realize, there's like a little catch right at the base of it. You reach down, you grab the hoop, and you lift it up, and there's now like wooden stairs that go down to a stone area below. You can feel it. It's cool down there.
He's gonna go ahead and start making his way down, and as he makes his way down, he's gonna lower his hood.
Okay. So you like lower your hood over your head as you make your way down. You close.
I meant like take it off my head.
Yeah, my apologies. I misunderstood.
There would have been the Sakona Slayer sigil, just inside the doorway, not on the outside to draw attention to it, but it'd just be on the inside. So he'd make sure that was there, and then he would remove his hood and walk down fully snaked after closing the door behind him.
Cool. And so you do close it behind you. You pull your hood off and you start making your way down the stairs. As you go down the stairs, like I said, it's kind of cool in there. And you walk along a little bit of a corridor. And this down here, it's not like it's a perfect example, like a full foundation of upstairs. But there's a bit of a corridor that you can feel yourself walking down and almost like around where you think the door would have been or the pathway would have been. Like that straight through from like the outside, inside the door, then inside like where the warehouse is. You feel yourself turning that 90 degrees and walking in underneath the warehouse as you believe you would have before. And you actually follow this along, but the trail actually goes for a while. It actually goes past that back area and continues going. It actually, you end up walking well outside of where this building would be. So you imagine this actually isn't underneath the building, just underneath the district. You continue walking for a while and to the point where roll me a perception check. It's not for until you're almost the very end of your walk that you start to, because you just maybe caught up in the moment, whatever it might be. It took you a while to feel or hear the vibrations that let you believe, oh, you're closer to the river. You're near the river's bed. But as you're getting closer to it, probably what was distracting you is you notice that the temperature, while cool in here, starts to get a bit warmer and warmer to the point where it actually gets like fairly warm in here. And being a reptilian creature like yourself, you actually like it warm. And so as you're getting closer and closer to where you can actually feel like a little bit of vibration in the walls of the river, it's actually getting pretty warm. And this whole time you've been walking along a single file trail. that you imagine would be miserable if you're trying to be sneaky, somebody would easily find you, right? There's no alcoves, there's no anything you can hide in. It's just
It's
you're there.
just like the cave you just grew up in.
Yeah. Until finally you come down to the end where, near the end where it opens up and there's a couple of different doorways you can get through. Before you even walk into any of the doorways, when I say doorways, they're little kind of like cutout alcoves that you would have to kind of like duck underneath to get into unless you were small sized or along the ground. Yeah. But even before you can react and get into any one of those, you hear somebody else coming out of one of them, just kind of like, easily making the way out. And I imagine you don't hide or jump or anything.
He would just stand there and wait.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you hear, so that's when you hear somebody say, somebody turns to you to regard you and says, "Oh, I don't believe we've met before. Who are you?" As you see a very familiar looking woman standing in front of you with a large sword strapped to her back.
He would actually laugh, and it would just be the like straight old school Ophios laugh, and immediately would just pull out his original falchion and illuminate it with prestidigitation.
And then when what's like illuminated, and granted, you both have dark vision, but once it's illuminated, she can now see all the features of your snake-like head. As you said, you pulled your hood down, so you're no longer hiding your actual features, you're revealing them, so on and so forth. She looks at you and says, "Ophios, I'd know that laugh anywhere. You live then?"
Yes, and speaks a little bit better.
It is a little bit easier to understand you. You still need training. A lot of training.
And you still needs to learn how to fight. And he just kind of laugh at that, not knowing anything, just being like, "I could have killed you."
What brings you here?
Safeties. I've got friends outside that aren't snakes.
When you said safety, she looked like she was going to say something in response, but when you say that, she actually looks past you, looks at you like concerned.
Things have changed. Not all parents are as we thought.
Sorry, chat. Josh. Things are, my apologies, things are, I got distracted by Josh, sorry.
Not as we thought or were told.
I'm sure there's much to discuss, but unfortunately, I have my own business to attend to. If you're going to be revealing your nature to others or bringing them in here, that's between you and, well, you can deal with the consequences. In the meanwhile, I'm going to leave. I'll give you one warning, though. If you came to Momley for safety, you came to the wrong place.
Not exactly the safeties. What I meant. Here specifically, yes. City, nas. And that he would also respond quickly. By the ways, another Loper's Downs. Perhaps twos.
She looks impressed.
And she would show the two blades that are clearly of Loper making.
Mm-hmm. You have one, I think, right?
Technically, they're off of the same one, but I have the dagger and then the growing and shrinking sword. Both of those items.
I think the original one that you got at the beginning of your session 0, she took, and then
Correct.
you got the other
that's
one.
The sword. That's the sword on her back.
Correct, and then so you then got one.
Correct, but I'm saying there's possibly two because I don't know if that other commander that we killed.
Gotcha. Understand. My apologies. Okay. I was like, I believe I only revealed one Loper to you in a fight, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, what am I forgetting? So you say one, possibly two, and she says, "Impressive. Maybe that'll make up for the fact that you are sharing secrets. Good luck." She walks past. She seems to have that coolness to her walk that shows that she's much more comfortable walking through these. Granted, she's comfortable walking through caves anyway. She has to snake people, but with this large sword on her back, it doesn't. It seems like she's very familiar, so practiced. That 10,000 hours, right? So practiced with it on her back that it doesn't seem to. Her mind instinctively kind of compensates for where it's going to be spatially on her, right? You can always tell somebody that hasn't been to school in a long while when their backpack is smashing everything. I'm not spatially prepared for this extra square footage on me. Or cubic feet. So.
The fuck? Thank you, Daelric. I appreciated that.
It's like going to a con and you have a bunch of nerds that are walking around with these big, huge, bulking backpacks. I'm gonna bring tons of jackets and all the games to play with people. And it's like smashing into each other. Like, oh.
Ophios is gonna enter where she came out of.
Okay.
And just walk in and see, basically looking for the head person of this particular haven.
So when you go to walk into where she came from, one of the things that you notice is that the area that you're actually walking into, it's one of those things that you as you're walking up to like where the room it breaks off into. So the way it breaks off is like 4 little doorways that come off of it, each of them at the end of like a 5-foot long, not even like 3-foot long hallway that goes to a door that you can duck into. She came from the one to the far right, which is why you didn't like really see her coming out. She came like around a bit of a corner. As you step up and you're kind of deciding which one to go, you feel that to the far right is where the warmth seems to be coming from, and it's also where she just came from. So you go to duck under and go inside there. As you duck under to go look inside that room, one of the things that you notice is it opens up into like a semicircle kind of chamber that ends with a flat wall. It's not just a semicircle, and it's the walls to the left and right. It's kind of like a cornucopia, or like a theater, right? Where it kind of rises up above your head as well. Again, has a flat wall on the opposite side. At the end of like where it opens up to, it ends up being about 30 feet wide and about 30 feet tall. For that large area in front of you, and it's like squared off, so it's not like it's a big like circle or semi, right? It's kind of like squared off over there, but in the center of.
I was gonna say, would Ophios recognize the shape?
No.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that you noticed inside there, because this isn't something that you guys, it probably isn't something that you guys built, maybe something that you guys discovered. Who knows? But one of the things is that you notice in the center of that wall is there's actually a decent sized statue that's there. I mean, again, it's 30 feet wide, 30 feet tall, right? The wall, but there's a statue in front of you that's probably about 14 feet tall, 13 feet tall, and it's of a large, it looks like a snake-like creature. No, more like a salamander-like creature. It's very large, and its construction is of a deep, dark-colored stone. But then the stone itself has like areas throughout it, almost like veins off of it, where it's glowing a little red. You don't know if it's just thematically glowing red or if that's literally where the heat is pulsating off of. But you can see that the red glow, when you kind of focus on it for like a second or two, like looking at it, you do see that not uniformly, kind of like a little different, almost like it starts from the center and like works its way outward. It like pulses with a little bit of a red increase and decrease in light. That extra second or two gives you the impression, no, that probably is the source of the heat, whatever this statue is. You see nobody else inside this chamber, but clearly there are other things that are stored inside of it.
Would I know what the salamander is, or can I roll something?
You actually have no clue what the salamander is. You're too young to have ever experienced anything like it.
Okay. And there's nothing in this room other than just storage?
Yeah, you imagine that they put certain things, storage bits inside here, so on and so forth. You do see that there is, at the base of the salamander that's there is, you almost imagine like a nest. It's almost like a nest or something right over in front of it. It's a little weird, but...
Gotcha. He would head back out and try and go listen to the tunnels again and figure out which one's making the most noise.
Yeah, so you go ducking through the other 3 areas. One of them is clearly meant to be a hatchery area where young would be born into. There are no eggs inside of here, and there's no tendons to it. You inside of another area, and oh, by the way, that same that you go into another area. We imagine this would actually be where people would be able to find rooms, rest, sleep, so on and so forth. You do find one other of your kin here, but not like you. This kin is different. Upper body is completely human. Lower body is completely snake.
The ones that can't be seen in Publix.
And they're actually, as you come slithering in here, either they're dead asleep or just pretending like they don't notice you, but they're sleeping here on the chamber floor. And when you go into the last chamber, the fourth one, you can see that this is actually one where equipment would be held, and you're assuming the table in the middle would be used where somebody would like work their equipment, like polish it or sharpen their equipment, like they could use as a utility table for something like that. Equipment stored along the walls. You can imagine like, oh shit, my sword's old and crappy. Let me switch it up for this one, or whatever the case, like that kind of thing. But that middle table area would also be used for like if you were to have meetings or conversations. This is definitely a small guild area for these snake people, and there's nobody else inside of it. So as far as you can tell, you saw her and you see the sleeping guy, and you haven't seen anybody else inside here.
Well, he's waking up the sleeping guy.
Okay. And again, kind of makes sense because you guys don't exactly travel in big packs or bands unless it's where the young are born and trained, right?
Yep.
So
he wakes him up abruptly. It would kind of be he would take the base of his sword and kind of ting against the stone like right above his head.
Okay. So like dink, and then which is funny sounding because it sounds like Scott making a hissing noise as opposed to an actual snake, since it has a human tongue. Mm-hmm. He slithers itself up and says, "Why would you do that?"
Needs words.
Well, it sounds like you have some.
Seems as you're the only ones here, and my friends already left. Well, have a history with hers. Figures you would be the ones that watches over this, since looking down, you're the ones that really doesn't leaves.
I make my way out. I do the tasks that I need to. Are you questioning my importance? He says as he like rises up, and because he's a snake and the way the muscles in snake works, he's able to like rise himself up, so he's a whole like 1.5 feet taller than you now, and like bears his like, arms, and they're wrong. He's got like well muscled and worked arms and whatnot, and like looks down at you like he's being very imposing, right?
Ophios literally leans back and snaps his fingers and teleports to the other side of the room.
Oh, so like behind him, or just like further back,
just like behind him.
Okay, behind him. So as soon as you teleport behind him, and then you see like his whole tail like whips as he like whips around and like looks at you, and he's like, "I get it. What?"
Seems as this is my first times in this parts of the realms. Where's are the safe areas? Others than here's, of course. I have friends who need place to stay.
This is it.
Then perhaps you would allow me the courtesy of bringing in my comrades who are not of our race.
Food?
If you eats them. He immediately makes a blade appear in his hand. You dies.
Fodder, then. I have tasks. They get in my way. They're food.
Will address as comes to be, but they won't be in your ways, as long as I knows your tasks. Which, figurines as it is, it's taking care of this place and watching out for news.
What happened
Roll
to your
for
API?
snake hotness. rolls for hotness. That's
I mean,
heavy roll.
That's a really big. He's super fucking hot.
His upper half is human and he hot.
Big and
That's 21
he's
out of
actually
24.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson above the waist.
Yeah.
Tattoos and everything.
I was gonna say
Samoan.
Henry Cavill.
The Witcher.
yeah.
Witcher? Yeah.
That's weird though.
Henry Cavill. I don't know how he pronounces his last name.
She's like, I don't know if I can get used to the lower half. Can he just like always wear a skirt?
Snake part, yeah. Skirt. It's weird.
A 12-pack. Makes sense for a snake.
Essentially, he's asking this guy what his
of course.
tasks are.
Yep. He says, shipments come, shipments go. Certain things need to be on there. Certain things need to not be on there. I take care of it. Besides, we still have a warehouse to run. We still have our front.
He nods his head and says, if anything's, they'd be of use. And he starts walking out.
He like looks at you and watches as you go, and he does it again. It's like a threatening hiss, which again, to you, you're used to this because you know, to them it's going to sound funny because it's like you're hearing the hiss of like a human, like. But to you, you're accustomed to the different types of noises that your different species make, right?
But to Ophios too, aside from the full snake head, snake arms, snake lower half, he's a lesser.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't blend in as easily. Yep. So so you're gonna make your way out to them. You can have a quick little RP, kind of inviting them in and whatnot, and I think we can wrap it up for the evening. Yeah, I think everybody's here starting to. So go ahead, Tyler.
When Tyler's down there. No, you go. Go ahead.
I want them to roll a perception check to see if they notice the female snake one leaving the warehouse.
Oh, okay.
If that's okay, Scott. Obviously, she would have disguised herself.
Mm-hmm.
Would we have noticed?
They notice her, but they notice her because they see a woman come out with a sword strapped to the back that stares at them, straight mean bugs them for like 4 or 5 seconds. And I imagine maybe Rena gives like a look back, like, fuck's your problem? But she just straight mean bugs you from like a block away. From like a block away. And then she just like shakes her head and walks away from you.
So we saw her come out the same place Ophios went in, right?
And stares at you.
Yeah. So when that happens, I'll look at Ophios has been gone for a while, obviously at this point. And I'll look over at Rena, or Giannis, rather. We'll look over at Rena. He'll say, she doesn't look like she bathes. I don't think they have baths.
Would you let the bath go, man? I'm
I
the
don't
one
think I
covered in blood, and I don't even think I'm gonna get it.
I really don't think I can let it go. I was so close last time. I was so close. I paid for it.
I'll just pat him on the back and be like, "We'll find one."
Careful, you're gonna imprint sweat into my back.
Oh, sorry.
Look, I give it 5 more minutes. If he's still down there, I think we should just go.
Why is your first instinct to leave? Have you no patience?
This sucks. I know it's bedtime. Hold on. Stupid cat.
I'll just say sarcastically, so is this where you decide to leave then?
Hold
Go
on.
off.
That cat is going nuts.
Attention.
What are we talking about?
Rena just said, is this where you decide to leave us then?
I've already made it this far. It'd be a waste of my almost near-death experiences if I didn't see it through.
Best to see things through then, huh?
But still, a bath though, that would.
I imagine Ophios
You're
is not
telling me,
walking out
dude.
of the warehouse.
Oh, they probably got they might have like some farm meat instead of just rations and plants, and Ophios is cooking.
Or lack thereof.
Can you, I can taste the buttered corn right now.
Stop. Don't. Shh. Don't tempt me.
Damn it.
Ovios kind of has this like slight smirk on his face. Just because he was pleasantly surprised to have seen that one, and then he's like sitting here like the lesser is the one that's watching the place, which is not unusual.
So you come out with a big smile on your head?
It's a smirk. It's a smirk, but it's a big smile if you're looking at his eyes are showing a big smile, a giant grin. He
Are
said,
you coming to us?
"Yeah, I'm coming to you. Just
Okay.
walking straight ahead." When I'm coming straight ahead, he like walking towards you. Once I know you notice, he kind of gestures for you guys to come.
Please, for the love of God, tell me that you have a bath or something down there.
Yes.
I'll ask that.
Ovius just still smiling.
I'll look at Giannis and just be like, dude, I don't think it's gonna happen.
We're gonna go to some weird cellar with drippy ceilings and some random chains hanging from the ceiling.
This might be where we die.
And there's gonna be some skeletons in there. Do you guys lay eggs? There's gonna be a bunch of like eggshells, I bet.
I'll like hit him, like just like, dude, you can't just ask people if they lay eggs.
Well,
You can't just ask people if you lay eggs. But since he
I'm
asked,
assuming you don't lay eggs, Ophios. Do you lay eggs? I don't think he lays.
Ophios would literally look at him annoyed and just say, "Do I look like an egg smothers?"
See, there you go. He doesn't lay eggs, but that's not really the point here, is it? The point is, are there eggshells on the floor?
Shut up.
well, are you
Are there
allergic?
beds?
Is this like a Texas Roadhouse situation where you can't enter if you're allergic to peanuts?
Are there beds?
He would gesture for them to tie the horses off inside the warehouse, in an area over to the side, and to follow him closely.
Reluctantly, I'll tie the horses up.
We're just gonna look.
I'll
Jan
just take a peek.
Makes his way downstairs. I'm not
Ophios.
staying if there's no beds.
Ophios is clearly in front and just says, "Make sure you close the hatch behind Zeus."
Yeah, make sure you. Yeah, I know how a secret hideout works. And I slam it shut.
Ovios kind of turns and looks at him like, "Thanks for the noise," and just starts walking down the path. And walking down the dark tunnel with Yondis and Rena talking to each other as Ophios is charging ahead, we fade to black.
Well, wait.
Is there a bath? Or is
Wait,
there
wait,
not?
we need to know.
Are there beds?
Don't we worry about that. So that was a lot of fun. I mean, I won't lie. I'm going to kill myself for having stayed up so late. Not literally, obviously, but for having stayed up so late. I am
Well, you
tired.
kind of just did.
Going to be tired tomorrow, and then I actually have my Patreon session tomorrow night, which is interesting because I believe it pertains to you guys. But we'll worry about that later on. Let's just say, Rena, maybe it's a good thing you guys didn't bump into that group of 100 soldiers, or maybe you should have. I don't know.
I think it was about time we got out of there. That's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
say.
think it.
Shut
I
up,
think
Josh.
We don't need that.
Yeah, but either
I'm
way.
not ready to face Neil yet.
Oh no, that's south. Yeah, this is a Peredhel military thing. So where you guys were, you were a couple days travel away from one of the keeps that they will eventually have, but currently do not. Assuming they don't all die on Wednesday. So anyways, hey, listen, they're close.
Just two.
They're close. Okay, it's like it's bad. Like two of them are. Like one of them is like could die in the opening part of the game, the session, and one of them, an army could totally kill him and take over the capital, and then the third one's having a grand old time. He's doing great. So.
Do you have a backup plan for if he rolls poorly?
No.
It's just gonna be a short stream, or?
No. If he dies, is the other two people.
So the other two people get more time to die. Okay.
Yeah, and who knows? It could be a TPK. It could be one party member dies and the other two live.
Are they split right now? Are they not together?
They are many miles apart right now.
Oh wow.
Could you imagine a TPK where everyone's off camera from
Like,
each other?
do you want to know how far apart
None
they
of
are
them
right now?
know that the other one's
Is this
died.
Kingmaker?
Yeah, I'll try to make it obvious really quickly. So if you guys actually give me 1 second to show you, you can see it on
Dad.
you can see it on chat in 1 second. So sorry.
Hey, Dad.
I'll show you where they are. If you guys aren't caught up on Kingmaker, maybe some slight spoilers here. Nothing crazy.
Hey, everyone who's not caught up on Kingmaker, goodbye. Have a wonderful night. You can leave now. Thanks for watching. I'm Messy Cat. Follow me at twitch.tv/MessyCat. Thanks.
Thank you. And you guys, you can say your outro too if you want. There, Rena, you want to go next?
Oh sure.
Set up.
It's me.
Twitch.tv Messy_Cat. Sorry. Forgot
Follow
the
Messy.
Go ahead, Rena. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's okay. It's fine.
She's offended.
Yeah, just slightly. No, I'm actually like getting a new desk and like doing a whole new setup for my stream setup, so I'm really excited about that. It might seem like a little thing, but I'm pretty stoked. Anyway.
You're buying my uplift desk?
That's not a little thing.
You're driving to LA to pick it up and driving it back?
Sure,
How much?
yes. I don't know.
How much you
Never heard
sell
of
it
that.
to me for?
200.
I'm not driving to LA for something
Like
that's gonna
saving
cost
gas.
me $200.
It's a $600 desk.
I live in Florida.
So sorry,
Hey, Simon,
camera's
with the
coming back
plane.
momentarily. Good, Rena. So you're getting a desk. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm getting a new desk. That's pretty exciting. And then I'm not sick anymore, thank God. So
Boo.
I'm actually gonna start streaming since I don't sound like death anymore, which is great.
I'm sick.
You're still sick?
He's always sick.
Tell?
He's
Couldn't
just-
tell?
He's just
Sick of us?
he's just a sickly kid. That's all.
Sick of D&D?
All right,
Sick of Scott's shit?
Tyler, sir, what's going on for you?
I have a really special, amazing, awesome, super fantastic, wonderful stream on Sunday
That's beautiful.
Poggers.
that I don't have an official set start time of, but I will say it will involve some charity.
Ooh, charity.
Dope.
And
I know her.
it
She
will-
dances well.
It will involve something to do with my hair.
Okay, that's awkward.
You're gonna be a clown?
No, I already did that.
He's gonna get a perm.
No, I don't need that. But anyway, you can find out more about that by following me at apocalypse_12 on Twitter and Instagram, and check out my YouTube channel, which I have a video coming out very soon talking about year of 2019 and all that kind of went down for me streaming wise and a little bit life wise. So that's youtube.com/apocalypto12, no underscore there because YouTube would not allow an underscore. But yeah, cool stuff. Working on a lot of different things. It's a fun time. And of course, above all else, support my other castmates and the people here. They're awesome. Check them out. Do their thing. Follow them. Subscribe. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Just don't trump poor Tyler. Okay.
No, you
Okay.
can trump me all you want. I don't care.
If you go, but the triumph save is nice. So if you guys actually check out the stream, this is to the players. Check out the stream. I am currently highlighting an area with the arrow in the top like right hand corner. Literally this hill that you can probably barely see because like how focused it is or whatever on the stream. That's literally where you guys just walk by the army up there, right? So it's like okay, cool. Those are up there. And then if you actually look, so this is like the oops, sorry, what was I doing? The keep that I had mentioned. So if you imagine they start there, this is the keep that I was saying. Oh, they don't have that yet, but that's the keep that's closest to. It's a good distance away. So, anyways, their capital is. So if you think
Wait,
about
that keep, the black keep?
yeah, that's the they don't have that keep, but that's the nearest one. It's two. So their capital is actually like right here where this golden star is, right? So anyways, Neil is down here. And this, literally on this hex right here, there's a city. It's just there's a bunch of warpogs going on, so it's hard to see. But on this city is a Herod. He's right here. He's literally fighting a battle. Tesh was here fighting, and lost and had to come back to the capital. And then, what's his name? Jake went up to the capital and teleported over to here, which is where Hod Gwen is. So right now you have one party member here, right, with an army coming up his ass. You have another party member here fighting a whole bunch of armies. And you have another party member here, right? And mind you, there's an army going, there's this one right here. There's an army going this way to go attack their allies here in the city called Vigil. Funny enough, Rena, without, I suppose I don't care, but this symbol right here is actually the symbol that was on, more or less the symbol, since that's actually an actual symbol that belongs to a video game, but is similar to the symbol that's actually on the necklace that you're wearing. Correct. It's actually, this is just somebody, it's a Patreon related thing, don't worry about it, but somebody said, oh, this is, so it looks kind of like, but I'm not an artist, so I was like, sure, we'll just use that for now. But similar to this kind of symbol would be the symbol that's actually on your necklace that you're wearing, right? Which is different from the typical Lady Aravel Dark Eye symbol. Okay. So you see how far apart they are?
Me to understand what you're talking about with where people were.
I'll do it one more time. Ready? That ping is where Tesh was.
Yep.
That ping is where Tesh just ran to. That's the capital city.
Okay, so Tesh is in the capital.
That ping is where Jake is assaulting their capital city.
Okay, so he's off by himself fighting a war.
Yep. And that ping is where Neil is, his army about to fight another army while engaged in one-on-one combat with that army's champion. Okay? So that's how far apart they are. So Tesh is 6 hexes from Neil, and 8.5 hexes from Jake. Jake and Neil are about 5 hexes apart.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, Tesh seems to be in the safest place.
His army of 1,000 just lost. A huge battle, disbanded, ran away, and he's by himself running to the capital with no army to protect him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alone? All alone?
Yeah, with like a small amount of guard and all of his undefended citizens, because Froga's army is actually over here.
He's the one who had the army folded on itself.
No. That's actually these people. Riders of Varen.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Which, by the way, Varen, funny enough, let me see if I can change this over here. The city of Varen is right here on the map. You could probably see it about now. Is on the map. Varen, from where you guys were, saw the hill.
I can see it based off of that, yeah.
Yep. I drew a line for you to make it nice and easy. So yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, unfunny one, when they were building buildings, they didn't really look at what buildings, they did what buildings made them feel good, as opposed to what, and they were super cheap with money, which you talked about a bunch of times. They didn't spend their money building buildings that affect their leadership scores. So their loyalty is such garbage. But that's not for this campaign. Anyways, I just thought you might find it funny. You talk about splitting the party. They're literally days travel away from one another, each fighting a huge war, and only one has the ability to kind of temporarily magically communicate with the others, and it costs them permanent magic items. So, yeah. You guys doing great. You doing great. All right.
Oh, thanks, Daelric. I feel
We
better
kept the
now.
party together.
Yeah.
Thoroughly.
Anyways, we're all tired. We're going to bed now. So I'll see you guys Wednesday morning. Actually, tomorrow night for some patrons. Monday night for Maggie's stream. Maybe something on Tuesday. Definitely Wednesday morning for Kingmaker. And bye.
Bye.
That belch wasn't me. That was Rena. It was gross.